So the topic of today's video is about meditation and my own definition of it, as I think it's something that's quite subjective and different people have different definitions of it or applications of this. Although there are kind of universal principles of meditation, I think it's also something that's subjective to one's own experience. So before I explain what it means to me, how I use it, I want to first tell you guys how I got into meditation. So I started meditating in around 2020, around September, so almost 2 years ago, and I started with a teacher, and for 3 months we visited different techniques, and it did change my life, not in a significant way per se, but more in a subtle fashion. It's not something I felt after every session, it's something I started to feel the more I did it. So what does this practice mean to me? Firstly, I think meditation is more of a state of mind than an actual practice. You might often hear people say that they do walking meditations or standing meditations, or they're meditating while they're doing something else. For some people, they say that exercise is meditation for them, or cooking is meditation for them. So the pattern in this is that they're reaching a state which is kind of meditation, or in other words, it's kind of a flow state. So a flow state is basically where you have enough stress to kind of stimulate you, but you're also relaxed enough to be present in what you're doing. Let's say you're playing a video game. If it's too easy, you're not going to have fun because it's not challenging enough. You're just going to kill all the enemies and destroy everything because you're too good, But if it's too difficult, if you're like expert difficulty, the game's just going to be way too hard. You're going to be dying all the time. Enemies are going to be shooting you all the time, and you might be dodging 100% of the game, and that's no fun. So when you find the balance between these two, it's when you kind of get into a flow state. But it's basically a time when you are so focused on something, or you're so immersed into an activity, you lost complete track of time, maybe even of your body, and pretty much almost all your attention, awareness is into this thing. That's pretty much meditation. That's kind of the goal of it, or at least that's how I see it. Because most of the time we spend our mental energy thinking about, the future, what we want to do, what do we want to achieve, or how we want to present ourselves to people, or dwelling about the past. And now the power of this is that you get to be an observer of your own thoughts. When you're in your day-to-day life, you're going from activity to activity, never stopping. You're going to buy groceries, then you go cooking, then you talk with your loved ones, then you have to do this job, or you have to pick up your son, and then you have to drive to get some materials or whatever. You're always switching from activity to activity, never taking a pause. And when you're doing this, you're not aware of what's happening inside. So when you sit still for, let's say, 5 minutes or less or more, you're giving yourself the opportunity to sit with yourself and observe your own thoughts. Because most people are attached to their own thoughts. And when you start meditating, you start becoming an observer of your mind. For example, when we feel an emotion like anger, in school we're taught to say, I am angry. And yes, that term is true. However, if you become an observer of your thoughts, also your emotions, you realize that you are not angry. You feel anger. We feel these emotions. We see these thoughts, but we are not them. And that's the power of meditation. It's when you separate yourself from these things and you observe them from, let's say, a higher point of view. Because then you are not seeing these patterns that you repeat on your day-to-day life. You know, there's this saying that our thoughts create our own reality. And now, the more I practice and the more deep I get into my meditation practices, the more this term makes sense to me. So, think about it like this. If you tell yourself that you are stupid, if you tell yourself that you are dumb, that you are not able to, I don't know, maybe learn a new language, that you are not able to lose weight, that you are incapable of eating healthy, these are mantras that you are repeating to yourself. You are literally telling all the cells in your body that you are this. So then, when you are, going about your day, you are projecting these thoughts or these emotions into your life. And now, meditation, when you get into this practice of being still and become an observer, you develop the ability of awareness. And in everything that encompasses health, I've realized that the first step to make changes, and I mean long-term changes, not a fucking pill to give you a little delusion that you are curing yourself. I mean a real change in your life. The first step, it's awareness. If you are not aware of these, negative thought patterns that you have and that you are repeating to yourself on a consistent basis, how do you expect yourself to change? So you can see it as bringing something from the deep to the surface, like in the ocean, when you bring something from the bottom all the way to the surface, an iceberg, for example. And how do you do this? Well, through awareness. When you become an active observer of your thoughts and emotions, you reach this state of being conscious of these things. You're not unconscious, but now you're conscious of them. And once you actually see them, you can then realize, if this is something that I actually need in my life. And perhaps you don't. So then it's time to change it, learn new things to say to yourself, learn new ways to talk to yourself or to define your emotions, for example. Because if you, let's say, I like to think of the mind as kind of an ocean. And, if you see the ocean, the surface, let's say that's your conscious, the conscious mind, and the unconscious is like the deep. You can't really see anything below. And you can only see the surface. And basically, I think when you develop awareness, it's maybe when these things come to the surface and then you can actually see them. And then throughout your day, you can actually catch yourself telling yourself these things. Maybe as you go about your day and you make a mistake and you say, oh, I'm so dumb and I'm so stupid. You're like, oh, wow. You start hearing these things. You're not just unaware of them, so they just pass by. As now you are developing this skill of observing yourself. So that's how I like to think about this practice of meditation. This practice of cultivating awareness. That's for me what really meditation is. Because you can see meditation as a state of mind or as a practice. And I prefer to define this practice as a cultivation of your awareness. So then this empowers you to change things around your life, to change yourself, to reach your own goals and dreams. That was quite a long rambling about this topic. Hopefully you're not too overwhelmed. I don't even know what I said anymore. I just freestyled this whole thing, but again, my purpose is to share with you my own perspective of things And if you've never really explored these topics, to maybe give you an introduction to them through my own journey, not just give you a dictionary definition, but actually give you what my own conclusions have been from these experiences. So yeah, that's it for the video. Enough talking, but I hope to catch you in these next videos, and have a nice day.